Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I can't even speak now, Cliff. I've lost it. Literally, I've been gobbing off the last 20 minutes, and suddenly I can't speak. Welcome, everyone, to this 17th episode of the Recce Report. With me, I'm one of your co-hosts, Russ, former British Army Warrant Officer.
With myself, I'm Cliff Purvis. I'm a former British Army Corporal, and as always, it's a huge pleasure to share some time with you guys out there. And of course, today is quite a significant date, Russ.
It is, mate. 22 years ago today, obviously, as you're all aware, was 9/11 or 11th of September for those outside of the States. A tragic event in the States with the attacks on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon and the down flight. I think it's important that we remember this, but also take stock of the fact that the massive loss of life that day, which then led to an even more massive loss of life with the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan, and the loss of many more lives of not just serving troops from the various countries that took part, but of innocent Iraqis in Afghanistan and Afghans as well. And my question would be is, what difference did it make? Obviously, it made a difference in getting payback to the bad guys, but generally, from the way the world is now, has it improved things since then, or has it made it worse? I think I'll leave that open to the floor if anyone wants to make any comments about
that. Yeah, that's a good one. Nice question there. Right, so now with that, we have what have we been having going on? This is desperately searching for the script.
Have we got a script this month?
Yes, we got a script this month. I've been hard at it all day today. Right, we have just had in the last couple of days the latest installment of How Not to Run a Defence Force, produced by the Conservatives and Fascistos. And it's the strength of the armed services. Now, I've just been reading up on through the UK Defence Journal about the all-up strength of the army. And we'll stick with the army on this one just now. Is that it's going to be regular troops, trained troops of 73,000.
Yeah, including reserves.
No, it's topping up with 30,000 reserves, bringing it up to 100.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Russ?
Well, it's ludicrous, mate. It's the aspect. I get that we've got to work smarter. It's a different world now, apparently. So it's more sort of cyber warfare and things. But the truth is, and I think we worked this out the other day. The total amount of troops, Army, Navy, and Air Force, proposed for 2025 amounts to would I say 0.025% of the UK population. So if you think that's enough to defend the whole of the UK if Uncle Boris decides to pay us a visit, or the lovely Chinese appear over the horizon, I'm sorry, but literally we would give you enough time to maybe, I don't know, give your loved one a last peck on the cheek before the forces were decimated, wouldn't it? It's incredibly short-sighted, mate. It's the same thing that happened prior to the Second World War, wasn't it? There was massive demilitarization in this country, which is why Johnny Hitler thought he could just come in and roll over, and it took a massive reindustrialization of the military complex to even get ready for that.
Yeah.
Which is why we kind of struggled in 39 and 40. If it hadn't been for the RAF boys, 40, 41, we'd have been, we'd all be speaking German today.
Yeah, it's the old adage. I mean, governments have only ever got 5 years on their mind. 10 years possibly, if they think they're going to get a rollover government. So this particular government we've had has just continued its downward slope. And we mentioned it a couple of shows back about the 12 signs of creeping fascism. And the military aspect of that as part of it. So they do talk up how they're so supportive of the military and what they're wanting to do for the military. And I've been running a couple of posts lately to do with the Royal Navy, Royal Air Force, and the Army about the procurement fiasco, and how the defence industry as such, and the department, the government department for defence, how the MOD they seem to reward failure, and they will keep chipping away at something, even though they know it's not workable. They will keep, they'll keep going at it. The new secure radio system that the troops are supposed to be getting, it was supposed to be in place for, I believe, 2025. And one of the junior ministers, and it's also junior ministers that get this job, usually on a Friday to announce bad news, has said it'd be lucky if it comes in by 2030. And this is the basics, communications. Right, and I know you're all over that being ex-signals, Russ.
I am, mate.
I
am, mate.
Yeah, but speaking from my side of things, up with the infantry and that, it's communications is vital. Without communications, all is lost. So I really am getting incredibly frustrated with people that turn around and say Scotland will not be able to afford a defence force. They will have people, aliens landing and taking over as per 2014. I'm sitting there going, our boys and girls at this level at now are toiling. They're leaving the services in droves. All three services are massively under recruited. The Royal Navy did not have one single attack submarine at sea last month. That's a huge thing, considering they're supposed to sanitize the water for the nuke boats coming in and out. So that wasn't getting done. And apparently one of our always at sea nuclear deterrent boats has set some sort of endurance record for being at sea. And I don't think the crew are particularly happy on that one.
Well, they wouldn't be. I mean, no one wants to be deployed for. I mean, 6 months is bad enough, but when it turns into 7, 8, 9, 10 months, it starts getting ridiculous.
Yeah,
absolutely does. So you're right, mate. Obviously I am ex-Royal Signals. As was the guy that's just been nabbed having done a bunk from an expertise. I was just in the clip beforehand. No one ever offered me money to sell out the nation, which I'm a little bit aggrieved about. Apparently he was trying to sell secrets, I think, to Iran or somewhere.
Right. If that's what he was involved in, then
no one ever offered me money when I was a 21-year-old Siggy, mate. I would have snapped a hand off. So if GCHQ is listening, I'm only joking, okay?
If GCHQ is listening, I want some back pay, because yet again I have spent this week batting away comments that I am actually working for GCHQ. So if I am working for GCHQ, you guys owe me money.
But on the plus side, mate, if the armed forces averages to what 73,000 full time, I can flippantly say that will reduce the amount of future homeless veterans on the streets, one would hope.
It's scandalous, absolutely scandalous. I read a report that we have survivability, I think it's 2 weeks, on a modern battlefield. Of attrition. We last 2 weeks.
If you're lucky.
Which so much for the fascistos down in Downing Street. And why do we have people supporting them still in Scotland?
It was I know I'm kind of digressing a little bit. It was a thing earlier where your man Neil Oliver, the one, the hippie pretending historian, was calling for a revolution, and I'm like, and obviously the usual suspects, Lawrence Fox and Right Said Fred, we're jumping on a bandwagon. and I kind of made the comment, and I stand by it. They don't see themselves. The people that say this, they don't see themselves as the ones picking up the guns and doing the fighting. They see themselves, on the horse on the hill, or in the room pushing plastic soldiers around maps.
Yeah.
Dying for a cause is not where they see themselves.
No, absolutely not. And I keep saying this to people, regardless of what side of the independence debate they're on, when they start mentioning, putting the barricades up, making the petrol bombs and that. And my classic go-to line is, have you got any idea the characteristics of the modern high velocity round when it hits the human body? Yeah. And they go, well, we can have peaceful protest, and you can guarantee it's going to be peaceful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I know. And talking about sort of homeless and being on the streets, there's I don't know if you've seen it, a thing that came out today where the Scottish Lord Advocate has issued a statement saying, effectively opening the gates for there to be a pilot safe drug consumption room in Glasgow.
Right.
So this is something that they've been pushing for a while. The usual suspects are coming out now saying, look, this proves that Scotland could always do this. Saying that it was stopped by Westminster was just a lie. The Scottish government, the SNP have just been, they've been weaponising it. But the thing is, they have tried it before, and we're always told by Westminster, no, because drugs policy is reserved to Westminster.
Yeah.
And while the Lord Advocate has said this, there's nothing at the moment that says that Westminster will not again try and veto it.
Yeah.
So I hope it comes to happen, because as a mental health professional myself, I'm all for safe consumption rooms. That they reduce overdose, they reduce bloodborne diseases. As a medic, these things, Mike.
Yes. Yeah.
It absolutely does. It's a really good thing to do. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it comes to fruition and we show that it can be done.
Yeah, it gets them into a safe environment. Yeah, and it increases the chances that the stuff they're using is actually their proper stuff. It's not mixed with anything, and it gives people like yourself an opportunity to sit and talk to them, and maybe start the recovery. The Conservative and Unionists are only interested in treating this as illegal. It's illegal. It's criminal. Whereas, in fact, as we said, I think a couple of shows ago, we should be treating it as for what it is, which is an addiction. It's a clinical problem.
Well, it's an argument I had before. When they say we should be housing homeless veterans before refugees, and I'm like, just giving a homeless veteran a house doesn't automatically solve the problem. You have to solve the problem that resulted in becoming homeless in the first place. Yeah. And that could be addiction or financial or whatever it is. So you have to deal with those issues first. Someone who's lost a house because they're not paying their bills, just give them another house doesn't miraculously give them the ability to manage that and pay the bills again.
No, it just gives them another house to lose. Hashbury's come out with a good one. Getting back to the official secrets. When I worked for a telephone manager's office, pre-BT, the only secret I knew was Paul McCartney's phone number in Campbelltown. Get in there.
We like that.
Well, that shows you the level that the Official Secrets Act went to, because the Post Office Tower in London was not recognised. You ask anybody in officialdom in London during the 60s, where is the Post Office Tower, and they couldn't tell you because it was covered by the Official Secrets Act. There you go. Ash pretends the Scottish Drugs Forum has welcomed the Lord Advocate's statement. Good. I'm glad they do, and I hope we can get behind it. And what I think what was interesting is that Jackie Bailey, the Labour Shadow Health spokesman, welcomed it on a tweet, but then deleted the tweet shortly after. So I'm wondering it because apparently Starmer's not a fan of this. So I'm wondering if she forgot to toe the party line for a little while. So Starmer's not. So the man of the people, the Labour Party, party of the people, is not up for helping the people.
No. It's it's the Tory thing, isn't it? Because it's all about the Tories portray it as glorifying drugs and It's not, mate, they're all about headlines, mate. You know,
Yeah.
it's, you know, just say no. That was such a massively successful campaign, wasn't it? that didn't result in massive, you know, drug epidemics in the States or over here. I remember great. A certain age, mate. I remember the Grange Hill song, "Just Say No."
All right, no, I was
No,
probably overseas at the time.
oh, you were probably in the Falklands by that time, mate. I was watching Grange Hill. There's a slight
All
age
right.
difference. There's a slight age difference between us. I know it's not obvious because we're both so young looking, but
Well, I am.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We had Penny Morden, that ex-Royal Navy Reserve officer.
what was this? Sorry.
Oh, did you hear Penny Morden on about the rats and Victorian diseases and
Oh yeah.
in Scotland? Well, they've done a fact check on it, and she really should have read this before doing it, because the NHS England are now categorising anybody that comes in. They're doing full health checks on them, and they are picking up, a huge rise in people with rickets and malnutrition.
Yeah.
Now, we have that in Scotland, absolutely. And the reason we have it in Scotland is because of the Tory party policies. No, nothing else. Now, you can scream and shout that the Scottish government is responsible for this and this and this. But they are working from a budget that is continually reduced. Every time a government department is reduced real term spending in England, we have a knock-on effect here. I think the Scottish government has made huge strides to mitigate a lot of what's going on. And certainly Scotland's a nicer place to live in than south of the Rio Tweed because of that. And Penny Morden is not my favourite person at the moment.
She's after Nadine Dorries' crown, isn't she?
Yes, she absolutely is, and she will be the subject of my my Tuesday rant tomorrow morning.
Yeah. I'm gonna give an olive branch to our non-nationalist viewers, if there's any there. The SNP are not perfect. They make a lot of mistakes, right? And if I had my way, we'd have a much better representation driving us towards Scottish independence, right? The alternatives at the moment you might be thinking about are not who I would have. But what I want you to do is look at all of the political parties that we have, because that's what we have, right? We can wish we had better. That's not what we've got. We have what we have. And as imperfect as the Scottish government are, they do some things right, they do some things wrong. They are by far the least worst of every other bloody political party out there in the UK and in Scotland.
Yeah.
So if you're going to lambast either of us are supporting the SNP, that's fine, but they are the least worst option at the moment. You might not agree, which is your right, but they're the only ones really close enough to push us towards independence, unless we want to wait another 40 years.
Yeah, no, we need to go for it now. We can't afford 40 years. We can barely afford 4. No. So moving forward, then we had the government turning round on prison wardens and prison governors because of the escapee who we mentioned earlier on.
Daniel Killif, I think his name was.
And it was just another example that if you drop the ball in any of the departments, don't expect any backup from any of your ministers. I thought it was quite interesting that Reich Minister Braverman was up on this one, saying this is terrible. We need to recapture him. Threat to the population. I'm sitting there going, the biggest threat to the population at the moment is your department, run by you.
It was brilliant. I was saying to you, mate, the stuff I was seeing on social media when he was on the alarm, they were like, "No, he's a trained soldier. He'll be a master of escape and evasion." And you're like, he was a Royal Signal Cyber Networks engineer, mate. He was a master at avoiding GIF jobs and keeping his, you know what I mean? The SEER training, survive, evade, resist, and escape training that we do every year in the army is a fucking 20-minute video. Sorry, I'm swearing. Is a 25, 30-minute video once a year as part of mandatory training. Yeah, we're not special forces, mate. And literally, yeah, he's a master at escaping evasion. No, he's not. They caught him 4 miles from the prison.
Yeah. Yeah. He was such a master of escape and evasion. He had a mobile phone switched on.
And he'd not watched any spy movies, mate. He hadn't dyed his hair or anything. Come on, you can escape from prison and couldn't even shoplift some hair dye from wherever they sell hair dye.
I think I'd be probably chemist.
I don't know, mate. Clearly,
yeah. As you can see, I dye my hair.
Silver fox, always way to go.
Right, we're yeah. Sometimes the greater public, mind you, they're spoon-fed by the media.
Oh yeah.
And again, it was a lovely diversion for the media. It took the heat off the more pressing points that the government should be getting quizzed on. I mean, that baby Stockholm is still sitting there. It's still got the, has it been deep cleaned? Will it be deep cleaned enough? Or are they just going through the motions? My own personal take on it is they'll just go through the motions.
Oh yeah.
And then they will illegally house asylum seekers.
Yeah, and they'll do it because there is no safe and legal routes.
No,
for a lot of people that want to come in, come asylum. And this phrase, we're full up. No. Let's get rid of some of the politicians and hangers on.
Yes,
we'll have loads of them. Because they're already saying, that they're struggling to get fruit pickers, they're struggling to get people in care homes, they're struggling to NHS stuff. Because you're like, why don't we train our own people? Because our own people don't want to do it, mate, because it's atrocious conditions.
Yeah.
Do you want to? And I say this because I'm trying to, because my wife works in a care home. Do you want to wipe up someone's piss and shit and vomit for £12 an hour?
Yeah, it was never. Let's face it, Brexit was never going to be a success. Yeah.
Sorry, but before I get hung by my wife, I just point out that care workers are woefully underpaid and deserve way more than they get.
Absolutely, and I completely agree with you there. Something that was a success was the Independence March we had in Edinburgh.
Oh yeah, mate. Yeah, I seen that. I seen you were so busy you only put 2 pictures up. Yeah. This is Cliff is our media guru, so 2 pictures. Brilliant, mate. Thank you.
I will take your applause, young Russ. Yes, unlike me, I was so busy talking, I completely forgot to get my phone out and start taking photos. Anybody that was on the march last Saturday there, I think will agree with me. We had the weather on our side, and the good weather always makes for a good day. And it lifted the spirits and people were happy. And it was just a very, very good day out. It was well organised. I ended up walking down with some ex-Royal Navy guys, Royal Scot, etc. And we had a lovely little conversation on the way down. Spoke to a couple of the MPs who were there, and there was a very good contingent of MSPs, MPs. From our 2 independent supporting parties who have got representation. And they were not being standoffish, they were engaging in conversation. So it was actually well worthwhile. And we got speaking at the end to a couple of Canadians who were back on holiday, over on holiday, and wondering what it was all about and stuff like that. So it was, I think, a well worth day. I mean, my neighbour asked, what do you think we achieved? Raising awareness is also a good day, and it actually helped, I think, to gel some stuff together again.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it, mate. As you know, I was on call last Saturday, so it's a real shame that I couldn't get away for it. But I knew that you would represent us, mate, and do us proud. And there was obviously other veterans there as well.
Yes,
that Cliff spoke to, and we were well well represented. And there had to be, because we can't expect Cliff to carry the banner on his own. Come on.
Yeah,
It's a big banner. It's a big banner.
Yeah, which unfortunately I didn't unfold because we were scattered all over the place.
Wait.
No, I had the flag.
These are the organisational skills we learn in the British Forces.
Yes. Well, I was asked that. You mean you haven't organised a meet anywhere? No. Veteran, do you know what it's like, Russ? It's like herding kittens at times.
Yeah, plat and fog, mate, isn't it?
So, talking off your job and mental health and mental health awareness. Now, I believe you've seen a rather really off video through the week there.
It was, mate. There's been an issue this week. I'm not going to mention one name because I don't think he needs the publicity. But there was a high-ranking RAF officer who had basically written a suicide note,
right,
and gone off, and he'd found the suicide note, and they went out and they found him. He's fine. He's safe. He's okay. That's terrible. And then there was a YouTuber who's an ex-Royal Air Force pilot officer who, with 84,000 followers on YouTube, who basically made an 8-minute video saying that this senior RAF officer was weak. And I'm a bit candid now, but you know yourself, when we spoke the other day, I was inordinately angry.
Yes, you were.
You know, mental health is not a weakness. It's your brain just misfiring, not doing what it's supposed to do. And even if you think you're being rational, that is the illness when you rationalize suicide. And that's a common thing that I hear from people that have suicidal thoughts. It made sense. It was the natural progression of how I was feeling. You know, I'll do this today, I'll do that then, and I'll kill myself tomorrow. It made sense. It was the brave actually option for them. Now, it's really hard when you're at that point to realize that you're not being rational, because you're trying to because your brain's not being rational. The only difference between a broken leg and a broken brain is a broken leg doesn't try and convince you it's not broken. So I was really, really angry, and a lot of people on social media were really angry about this individual. And if you're really interested, you can go and look it up. But yeah, it was really bad form. You know, it was weak. It was not being a man, and that's that kind of sort of toxic attitude that stops people coming forward. So yeah, if you're having issues like that, if you ever have those kind of thoughts, speak out. There's agencies there. There's people that can help. Yeah, it's not weak. It's actually asking for help is the strongest thing you can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Cheers, Russ. Well done. Well said. Yeah, it was absolutely disgusting. Having gone through PTSD and still going through PTSD, to have someone turn around like that and say it's a weakness, it really does make my blood boil. Right, buddy, we are 2 minutes out.
We are. It's almost not time for wrapping up for another month.
Yeah.
I think I'm just. It's hard not to get kind of jaded sometimes when we do this, when we look at politics and the state of play, and it is still a transitional period for Scotland, and I think it has been since the referendum in 2014. And I don't think that the unionist parties, unionist supporters, have quite grasped yet that we're definitely not going away.
Yeah.
They hope we are. They've got this by-election coming up in Rutherglen and Hamilton. They're trying to write the SNP off, and if the SNP don't do very well in this by-election, that will be proof that they're done and dusted. So yeah, if you're from Rutherglen and Hamilton and you have a vote in this by-election, please go out and do the right thing. And bear in mind that the next elections come up, pro-independence that have a chance of winning. And in most constituencies, the SNP are either the front runners or very close second place.
Yeah. In
order to do that. All the other stuff, nice stuff, we can sort that out after independence. All the stuff that we whinge about now, let's sort that after independence. Let's stop snatching for scraps from Westminster's table and invite ourselves to the Beacon Feast.
Yes, absolutely. Well said, Russ. And that I think is a very good way to end this month's show.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, a very positive note from Russ there. Well said. So, folks, once again, that half hour has flown in. For myself, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening to all veterans.
Witter on. Brilliant. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks to everybody.
And we'll see you on the second Monday of the month, next month at 8 p.m. Take care, everyone, and look after yourselves. Thank you so much.
Take care. Cheers, guys.